Hi, it's Hope and welcome to the video. This is going to be a different video than I normally do. This is going to be a disappointing reads of 2020. Yes, it is currently still December, but I have a feeling that all of the remaining reads for the rest of this month will be good ones, hopefully. But these are books that just for me personally, I felt like they disappointed me, whether that be from hype or from like the hype of the series or from thinking I was going to like it and then not, or it being just a letdown or anything like that. Just because I am saying these books are disappointing does not mean that they are not good. I can name multiple of these on this list are great books, but they just weren't for me. So that's why they were disappointing. I will explain why I found them disappointing as I talk about them. I will briefly explain the book and then explain why I found it disappointing, but let's go. So the first disappointing read would have had to have been The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I DNF'd this at, I think, about 25% because it was disappointing because the way everyone hyped it up and I just didn't get the hype. It was disappointing for me that I didn't get the hype. This we follow, there's this circus that pops up only at night in random spots. It's there for one day and usually gone by the next. And we have these two people that can do magic that I can't remember exactly what they do. Like, they're like competing with their magic in this circus. I don't really know much. I don't remember much, but this is disappointing because I wanted to love it, but I just didn't. Next, this is probably going to be the most controversial one on this list, and that is Illuminae by Kristoff and Amie Kauffman. This, it didn't really disappoint me. It's just I couldn't understand what was going on because it is told in mixed media that it was disappointing that I personally did not understand what was going on because of the mixed media. I do plan on repicking this book up maybe in 2021, but reading the audiobook as well, like listening to the audiobook while reading the book, I've heard that people have done that and that is what really made them like the series, so I will try that. But it was just disappointing that I didn't like it. This we have after a planet is destroyed. This is sci-fi. We have after a planet is destroyed, we have our main characters on these ships, like on these like spaceships, traveling through space, trying to figure out why their planet was destroyed, I think. But it's told in like logs and interviews and like all of that, which seems really cool. I just didn't understand. Ooh, next we have Cursed by Thomas Wheeler, and this is a King Arthur retelling where instead of King Arthur getting the sword, a fae girl named Nimue gets the sword. And this I thought I was gonna like. The only reason I read this was because of the Netflix show. That I did watch the Netflix series and it was okay. But this book just, it didn't feel right. It just like nothing stuck, nothing interested me. So it was disappointing in the sense that since it got a Netflix show, I figured, oh, it's gonna be a good book, but it wasn't. And this is one that I DNF'd. Ooh, next we have Spellslinger by Sebastian de Castell, and this is the only reason I found it disappointing was because I DNF'd it because I wasn't enjoying it. I think I read maybe about 40% of the book, which is a decent amount, but it just wasn't for me. I honestly can't even explain to you what was going on. All I know is that we had a boy named Kellen, I think, who is supposed to have this type of magic but doesn't. And that's literally like all I remember, really. But disappointing in the way that I heard great things, but those great things didn't live up. This is one that I think I might pick up again, like, sometime in the future, but I don't know. Next we have the only classic that I've read, and that is Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. I was disappointed because I heard great things. I was like, I've heard that this is a great play, that it is great, but I read it. I did read it for school, so that was probably a reason why it was extra disappointing, but I just didn't like it. Disappointing in the fact that I heard, like, it's one of the greatest plays ever written type thing, and I didn't like it at all. Next we have The Fascinators by Andrew Elioplus, and this is, we have a boy named Sam and his friends who are in this, like, magic club. Magic exists in this world, and when Sam's friend James ends up with the wrong crowd of people, Sam, James, and their other friend have to try to solve James's problem. It's good. It's good, but it's not great. It's disappointing because I was like, oh, we have this, like, queer magic book that is set in the real world, and, like, it was just like nothing felt right. The characters, I didn't connect with the characters at all, so it's disappointing in that aspect. Next we have an entire series, which is the Wizard Academy Trilogy by Mike Shelton, which consists of Mark of the Medallion, Search for the Medallion, and Power of the Medallion. I liked the first two. They were like 3.5 stars, I think. 3.5 stars, which is pretty good, which is decent. And then the one that I specifically was disappointing, like really, really disappointing, was Power of the Medallion. It just was like, what, like, everything was just unnecessary. The first book, Mark of the Medallion, follows a boy named Kyril who is at this, like, wizard academy to train to be a wizard, and when there's these medallions that are supposed to be able to control power end up falling into some wrong hands, him and his friends have to go find it. Again, the first book was great. The second book was decent, and then the third book was just shit hit the fan. I almost DNF'd it so many times. I probably should have DNF'd it. The only reason I didn't DNF Power of the Medallion is because I got this entire series as they were being released as arcs from the author, and I was like holding out that there was going to be an epic ending, that there was going to be a really good ending, and then it was just like not good at all. And then finally, this is definitely the most disappointing, is The Raven Cycle Quartet by Maggie Stiefvater. I just finished the last book 2 days ago, so this is fresh on my mind, that I went in with such high hopes. I've heard that this was such a great series, and I read all 4 of the books. But once we got to the second book, like the first book, I love. The second book, I was like, okay, this is good. I gave it a 3.5. Like, it was good, but not great. Like, it was like, okay, yeah, this maybe was an off book. Okay. Because a lot of things were introduced and all of that. A lot more of the, like, world was introduced. Then the third book was just, for me personally, chaos. I didn't understand anything that was going on, really. The only thing I liked from the third book was the characters. I love these characters. And then the fourth book was good, but a lot of it felt a little off, and I was just like, what is going on for a good chunk? So it's disappointing in the aspect that I went in thinking that this is going to be a great series, and it's not great, it's good. I feel like it's just because a lot of the writing is very whimsy, and it's very like, it's all over the place, but in a good way, if that makes any sense. So I think that's my personal problem, is that I just didn't understand the writing style, maybe. This is a series that I feel like in a few years I'd consider maybe trying to reread it to see if just I'm not understanding the world as well as I should, but I'm not sure. So those were some disappointing reads for various reasons. I hope you enjoyed this video. What are some disappointing books that you read this year? And what are your opinions on the books that I thought were disappointing? Are they some of your favorites? Did you also find them disappointing? Let me know in the comments below. And bye!